And then I was like, no, wait, read some of the books on your shelf. No. So she winds up taking I believe they go on a vacation. I'm not even sure, which I haven't read yet. And then you add the fact that her and Riley Sager were talking about it and he was raving about it, and that's basically my catnip. So, and this is a family. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today's video is going to be all the books I got for my birthday, which is way more books than I expected. So many wonderful people sent me books. I had some gift money that I used for books because of course what else am I gonna do if I get a gift card? And I went a little bit wild, but I'm really excited about all of them. I'm totally overwhelmed when people were sending me things, so thank you to everybody. But without further ado, because we have a lot of books to get through, let's get into the haul. So I'm gonna start with books that were sent to me, which every single one of these was so unexpected, and thank you guys so much. You all are way too much, but I'm so, so grateful. A lot of these books are fairly new releases, so I've talked about them in recent videos, but the first book, actually the first two are from Jeannie. Thank you very much, Jeannie. And one of them is something old and one of them is something new. And the first one, the something old, is The Liar's Girl by Catherine Ryan Howard. And I talked about how I read The Nowhere Man this year and loved it. And I've talked about The Liar's Girl before as one of the books that I had on my Dark Academia meets serial killer list. So basically we have Dark Academia meets serial killer in this book. So this is about a guy named Will, and he is Ireland's most prolific serial killer. And he is in jail. He had stalked his 5 young victims and drowned them in the Grand Canal. So we fast forward many years later, and another young woman's body is found in the Grand Canal, and she is murdered in a style that is very similar to what Will did. So the question becomes, did they get the right guy, or does he have a copycat? But Will only speak to one person, Allison Smith, who was his girlfriend at the time, and Allison has since left the country and wants nothing to do with him, but she gets pulled back. So serial killer, Dark Academia, and reluctant return home. I can't hold up 3 fingers at the same time. I'm so excited for this book. And then the something new is Cackle by Rachel Harrison, and I have already read this book, and I haven't talked about it yet. It'll be in part 2 of my October wrap-up, which if it's up by now, I will link it for you guys, and if it's not up by now, just know it's coming because it's October 30th, so I'm not done reading for the month. But anyway, I will say it's safe to say, can you see what's happening here? I kind of 100% loved this book. So this book is about a girl named Annie, and she has just broken up with her boyfriend. She needs to move out of the New York City apartment because she is a teacher and she cannot afford New York City on her teacher's salary alone. So she winds up taking a teaching position in upstate New York, and she moves to this quaint little town, and she is enamored with the town and everything is beautiful and the townspeople are so nice. And Annie meets this woman named Sophie, and she becomes instantly fascinated by this woman and drawn to her. And she notices the rest of the town sort of treats Sophie a little bit differently. Some people seem to cow down to her, some people are a little bit afraid of her, and some strange things start to happen. And Annie starts to wonder if Sophie could maybe possibly be a little witchy. So I had heard such great things about this book, especially for this time of year, and I am so happy to have read it. I loved it so much, and I will go into deep detail in my October review, but there was so much more to this book than I had ever thought, and it resonated with me on so many different levels, and I just loved it. Perfect for spooky season, perfect for any time of the year though, let's be honest. So the next 2 books were sent by someone who just remained as an anonymous viewer, so thank you very much. And the first one is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. So I had heard so many great things about this. And earlier, I want to say it was like midsummer, I was watching, shocker, Abby from Crime by the Book talk about some anticipated books, and she was raving about this one. So I have Blacktop Wasteland, but haven't read it yet. And this one sounds very compelling, and I also hear it's super violent, so I'm gonna like work myself up for the violence part of it. But everyone who has read this book so far, whether it's a review I have followed or somebody on this channel who has reached out to me about it, raves. So this is a revenge story, and this is a black father, a white father, 2 dead sons, a quest for revenge and redemption. So these two fathers, their sons are married and they are murdered. And the fathers come together on a revenge mission. And like I said, I hear it's super violent, but I hear it's amazing, and I am excited to dive into this one. And then another thriller, which I think in all fairness, I think everything on this haul is going to be a thriller, you guys, is How to Kill Your Best Friend by Lexi Elliott. So I read The French Girl and I loved it. And this is exactly what it sounds like. It says, if you suspected your best friend, the person you were closest to in the whole world, was a murderer, what would you do? Would you confront her? Would you help her keep her secret? Or would you begin to feel afraid? Most importantly, why don't you feel safe now that she's dead? So I am so intrigued by this book. I love books about friend groups. I love me some friend groups with murder. So I'm really excited for this book, and I just think it's going to be great. Again, hearing such great things about it, and I'm excited to read some more Lexi Elliott. And I also have The Missing Years, which I haven't read yet, which I know is also perfect for this time of year. So time to get some more Lexi Elliott in my life. The next two books were sent to me by Christine, and the first one is Sherry Lapina's Not a Happy Family. So this is her newest book. I'm such a fan of her writing. I love her suburban mysteries. I just get totally pulled into her stories. And this one has like a little bit of a Knives Out feel to it. So this is another case, I think, of rich people behaving badly. I hope that is a trope that I absolutely love. This is a story about the Merton family. So Fred and Sheila are the matriarchs. They live in the most expensive place to live in upstate New York, in Brecon Hill. And it says even all their money can't protect them when a killer comes to call. So they have an Easter dinner with their children, and later that night, the parents are murdered. And it says the kids are devastated. But, of course, there's a but. In this family, everyone is keeping secrets, even the dead. So these kids all stand to inherit millions of dollars. They were never a happy family. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on underneath the surface. And it says, after all, if one of your family were capable of something as gruesome as this, you'd know, wouldn't you? So excited. And then the next book is Central Park by Guillermo Musso. So he wrote The Reunion, which I have, but I haven't read yet. And that is like a mystery in the past, mystery in the present friend group with murder. This one, totally independent of that one, follows two people who wake up in New York City on a bench in Central Park with no memory of the night before. So we have Alice, who is a fierce and respected Parisian cop, and we have Gabriel, who is a musician. And the last thing Alice remembers is she was out clubbing the night before at the Champs-Elysees with her friends, and Gabriel claims he was playing a gig in Dublin. So how on earth did they wind up in New York City? How much time has passed? There is blood on Alice's shirt. It's not either of theirs. And it says, why is the gun in her jacket pocket missing a bullet? And then were they kidnapped? Were they drugged? So they spend the next 24 hours racing across New York in search of answers and clues. This sounds so good. I feel like this is one of those books that you're just going to rip right through. That is my plan. The next book came from my fabulous friend Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand, and this is Friends Like These by Kimberly McCreet. This is another one of my most anticipated books that I talked about, I want to say, in my September releases. And this is the friend group, mystery in the past, mystery in the present, coming together for a reunion, and people start to die. So in this one, they gather at the glamorous weekend home for a desperate intervention. A reunion marked by lies, betrayal, and murder. So they're up in the Catskills, nice isolation feel going on there. And then kind of with a lot of thrillers, I don't want to know too much, but all I really need to know is this is a friend group with tons of secrets and people die. So I'm here for it. Thank you so much, Sarah. And no, I don't think we are friends like these unless there are two women in here who are like totally badass and love to read books and don't die and don't murder each other, in which case we are friends like those. And then my wonderful friend Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library sent me Lisa Jewell's The Night She Disappeared. So if you guys saw my weekend vlog, you already were spoiled for this one, but it bears mentioning twice, obviously. So I love Lisa Jewell. You guys know that. I'm a huge fan of hers. I'm hearing such great things about this one. And we've got past and present mysteries going on. So we have Tallulah and Zach, who head out for the first time since the birth of their infant son. They're 19 years old, and Tallulah's mom is like, go, I'll take care of the kid. Have a fun night. You guys deserve it. But then the next morning, they never come home again. So then a year later, we find out the case is run cold, and we're introduced to a writer who moves into a cottage at the edge of the woods near the estate where Zach and Tallulah went missing. So I'm guessing we get multiple POVs here, which you know I love as well. And our writer friend, who is not named, one of her most favorite things to do is to take strolls and long walks all around the woods. And she stumbles upon a mysterious note that reads, quote, "Dig here." Could this be a clue to the young couple's disappearance? And what exactly is buried in this haunted ground? So, like I said, I'm hearing great things about this, and I will auto buy author Lisa Jewell for me. So thank you, Lindsay, for auto buying for me a book that you know that I'm dying to read. And yes, we can 100% buddy read this. So just you say when and I'm in. So the next set of books are the ones that I bought for myself. So again, if you saw the first weekend vlog I did, which I will link for you guys down below, then the first 3 books here are a spoiler because I went to Barnes & Noble and I treated myself because it was coming up to my birthday and I felt like it. And it was my first time back buying a book in a store. So I had been to Barnes & Noble and done a little browsing before that, but this was my first time back buying some books. So I picked up 3. So the first book I got is Agatha Christie's Endless Night. So again, talked about this before. I wound up getting a used copy of this from Thrift Books, which I didn't think was going to be in great condition, and it really wasn't. And it's fine. I spent like $2 on it, but it was like super old and smelled. And you guys gave me some good tips about how to get the smell out, which I still need to try, but it was also very broken on the inside. So I wound up picking up a new copy of it because, you know, why not? But this is one of her books, which I feel like most people don't talk about as much, or I don't hear as many people talk about as much. So it says, some are born to sweet delight, some are born to endless night. So we have a penniless Michael Rogers discovers the beautiful house at Gypsy's Acre and meets the heiress Ellie. And it seems that all of his dreams have come true at once. But he ignores an old woman's warning of an ancient curse, and evil begins to stir in paradise. As Michael soon learns, Gypsy's Acre is the place where fatal accidents happen. I'm excited. So the next 2 books I picked up were part of the buy one get one half off situation, and the first one I picked up is When She Was Good by Michael Robotham. So I have Good Girl, Bad Girl, and this is part of a series, and I have not read that one yet, and I broke all my own rules by buying another book in a series when I haven't started the series, but I hear great things about the series, so rational brain happening here. So we follow a brilliant forensic psychologist. He becomes embroiled in an explosive murder case. I don't want to read too much about it because I don't want to risk spoiling the other books in the series that I haven't read yet. And then the second book is a standalone. This was 100% a cover draw for me, and We Are All the Same in the Dark by Julia Haberlin. And this is one of those books where I felt like the title kind of sounded familiar, but at the same time I had no idea what this book was about, and I still kind of don't. So it says it's been a decade since Trumanelle Branson disappeared, leaving only a bloody handprint behind. Her pretty face still hangs like a watchful queen on the posters on the walls of the town's Baptist church, the police station, and in the high school. They all promise the same thing: we will find you. Then we have True's brother Wyatt, and he finds a lost girl dumped in a field of dandelions. Okay. Making silent wishes he believes she is a sign. So we've got some cops, we've got some investigation. I guess we're all trying to find True, and it just sounds intriguing to me. So I picked it up. That's all I got. It's intriguing. The next book I picked up is one I actually already listened to on audiobook. It was one of my most anticipated. And I was like, well, let me give it a dry run on audio, and if I love it, I'll buy it. I loved it and I bought it. I also talked about this in that same vlog. This is Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian. I also talk about this in my first October wrap-up, so you guys should have seen that by now. But if you missed it, I'll link it down below. Long story short, loved it. Absolutely love this book. Chloe is everything. I am all for Charlie Bear. So this is a book about 7 psychopaths who basically get a free ride to college if they agree to participate in this psych study, which is a little bit of a secret psych study. And by a little bit, I mean a lot bit of a secret study that's going on at the college. But we follow 3 different points of view, and we've got Chloe as our main character, and she is totally down for it. Not just because why not get a free ride to college, but one of her childhood friends who has done her wrong, she has been on a mission to kill Will since she was a kid. and she's here for it. And Will goes to the school, and Chloe is out for some murder. But when the psychopaths in the study start getting killed, it becomes a little bit of survival and a little bit of who on earth is trying to kill us because no one's supposed to know about us. I loved it. I loved Chloe's voice. She was so funny. Brilliant. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Audiobook is great too, but I'm excited to do the reread in the hard book so I can mark it all up. The next one I picked up was another of my most anticipated. It has perfect fall vibes on the cover, and this is Dark Things I Adore by Katie Latari. So I heard great things about this, had to have it on my list. Again, we've got mysteries in the past, mysteries in the present. We have a 1988 timeline. We have a 2018 timeline. We've got a dead person. We've got an esteemed art professor. So it says 3 whispered secrets, 2 witnesses, 1 dead in the tree, and the woman 30 years later bent on bringing the guilty to their knees. I'm so excited for this book, you guys. It's just, like I said, I've heard so many great things about it. I am dying for the cover because it's brilliant, and I will be diving in. So the next book is another Abby Made Me Do It, and this is The Ice Coven by Max Seek. So this will be my first book by him, and this is part of Nordic Noir, which you know is Abby's favorite thing if you guys are a fan of hers. And this one takes place in Finland. So we have investigator Jessica Niemi is in a race against time to find the link between a body with strange markings that has washed up on a frigid shore in Finland and 2 baffling disappearances. So he also wrote The Witch Hunter, which I haven't read yet. But what I loved about this, so we have 6 months have passed. And it says, Jessica works frantically to solve her latest case. Her horrific past comes roaring back and threatens to destroy her. I'm totally excited for this one, and I'm excited to start a new author too. I'm trying to do more of that. And then the last book I bought for myself is Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. So I watched the interview that she did with Riley Sager when her book first came out, and I came really close to buying it then. And then I was like, no, wait. Read some of the books on your shelf. No. So I was like, I can't stop. I can't resist it anymore. So this is another suburban suspense story. It gave me some vibes of The Good Neighbors by Sarah Langan, and I just was so intrigued by this. So we are in Hollow's Edge, which is the idyllic, perfect neighborhood, of course, and all is grand. But then came the murders of Brandon and Fiona Truitt, and a year and a half later, the town is simmering. So nobody wants to have anything to do with this town. Nobody can sell their houses. Nobody wants to buy a house in Murder Town. And one of the neighbors named Ruby was arrested for this. But then her conviction is overturned and she returns to the town. And she returns to all the people who in one way or another helped to put her into prison for the murders of this couple. So not only does Ruby return, but she goes back to where she lived with her friend Harper. So Harper's roommate, who was in jail because she apparently is a murderer, is back in town. And Harper's like, what the? So it says, what possible good could come from Ruby's return to the scene of the crime? And how can Harper possibly turn her away when she knows Ruby has nowhere else to go? So we've got some more suspicion, we've got shocking twists, we've got some threatening notes, and we've got some truth to reveal before another person dies. So I'm really intrigued. You guys know All the Missing Girls. I just talk about it all the time, and I have not read enough Megan Miranda, but this book sounds super intriguing to me. And then you add the fact that her and Riley Sager were talking about it and he was raving about it, and that's basically my catnip, so I bought it. So that's going to do it for the insanely indulgent birthday book haul that I have going on here. So thank you again to everyone who sent me gifts. Again, you guys are too much. I don't have the words. Like, I absolutely don't have the words. And I'm so, 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 so grateful that you guys did this. So thank you so much. So as always, let me know, you guys, if you have read any of these books, what is on your list, if you would recommend I pick any of these up sooner rather than later, and we can chat about all the things down below. But I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you for spending some of your day with me and hanging out. Take care, guys. I will see you soon in another video. Bye, everybody.